Hi guys, Darth Deuces here with another action figure review. Today taking a look at the new Mcfarlane Toys Mortal Kombat 11 Shao Kahn figure. I've been really excited for this figure for a while. There's kind of teased a while back. I've been really enjoying McFarlane's Mortal Kombat 11 run of figures. I really like the game, and the character designs are pretty cool, and the line of figures has been really fun to collect, and they've all been pretty good for the most part. And one good thing about the line is that they've continuously gotten better and better. Shao Kahn is one of the figures I wanted him to make the most, and he did, which is really awesome, and it turned out beautifully. There's a lot to like about this figure for sure. So yeah, let's dive right in here and take a closer look. And yeah, he looks really faithful to his standard look in the game. They did a really good job. Even when he wears a helmet, the shape of his face looks really accurate to how he looks in the game. I love the design and how they were able to execute all the armor. He's got this awesome helmet with this skull mask. All the gold is really nicely painted with shiny gold paint. And looks really nice with the reds and the silvers. I like the look of it a lot. He's got the big like horn thingies there, which is really cool. You might not really be able to tell. Let's see. Get maybe light. Get my light closer in, maybe. It's pretty hard to see because the mask around the eye holes really creates a lot of shadow, which I like, but he actually does have the eyes that are painted in there, and they're actually painted really nicely. It's really hard to show the shadow, and the lights just isn't working out for me, but the paint's there, and the eyes are really sharply painted, which looks really good. And then all this spiky shoulder armor looks great. I will say this guy's a lot of spiky and pointy parts to him, so sometimes it's a little bit of a pain, a literal pain to handle him, but not a big deal. I love the red and the gold. The more fabricy or leathery parts to his outfit have a really nice textured sculpt, and even his skin has a really nice textured sculpt. You got these spikes on his forearms there, and you got the torso. Some different shades of brown for the skin tones. He's got the armor there with the trimmed gold, which looks really good. You got the belt with the different sashes and fabrics and whatnot that look really good. And you have the armor down here. These spikes down here are pretty pointy. That looks really good as well. One small gripe I have is the feet. They didn't make the feet and the straps to the sandals. They made them the same color. They didn't differentiate from the different colors. So the straps to the sandals kind of meld with the shoes and doesn't look super, or the feet, which doesn't look super good. Especially when they painted the straps to the armor on the back of his legs here. I don't know why they didn't paint the sandals, but not a huge issue. It's one of the things you're really not going to notice because it's his feet and it's this relatively small detail, but with all the rest of the really awesome paint detail they did on this figure, I'm a little surprised they skipped out on that one. But aside from that, it's an amazing looking figure. Definitely one of the biggest highlights of this figure, and not really surprising with Mcfarlane Toys is he looks amazing. But in terms of articulation, he's still pretty well articulated as well. I don't have too many issues. He does have a ball joint at the neck there, so you can look up a little bit, look down actually quite a bit, and then you can pivot just a bit, and you can rotate pretty much all the way. And he's got the ball hinges at the shoulders. They are kind of ratcheted, but they got a pretty good range of motion, and you do have that kind of floating joint in the torso to get a little bit of shifting, but it's not a whole lot. You got a swivel at the thigh there. You get double hinges at the elbows, which move in quite a bit. And you do have the kind of hinges that they give. Mcfarlane Toys gives their wrists. You can go up and down, or if you rotate the joint, you can go in and out with it. And you can rotate the wrist as well. You have two torso joints, got a cut right there at the midsection. So you actually go back quite a bit, but you do get this ugly gapping, which has been unfortunate. You can pivot, you can rotate. There's one at the base of the waist as well, but that doesn't move quite as much. The crunch forwards is all right. It's nothing too crazy, but it's not bad either. You do have your hip articulation with the standard joints that Mcfarlane uses. They don't go out quite as far as I'd like, but it's not terrible. It is hindered because of this plastic overlay for this cloth and belt. And they kick out about that far. Not awful, not great. No thigh cut, as per standard with Mcfarlane toys. You do have a double joint at the knee, which goes back quite a bit. No issues there. And then you have your ankle joint, which gives you, pivot, up and down rotation, and you also have your toe bend. So he's pretty well articulated, a little bit of hindrances here and there, but nothing too major in my opinion. So you can get this guy in some pretty cool action poses, which is good. In terms of accessories, he comes with just a couple things. You do get your standard Mcfarlane Toys style display base. I like that they include these with all their figures. It just helps for getting some more dynamic poses, and sometimes figures are a little hard to stand, so these work pretty good. He's got the Mortal Kombat logo there. You also get his Warhammer, which is really nicely painted and sculpted. It's got that dragon emblem there in gold, spike there, spikes on the edges, the red for the grip, and gold and silvers. It's a really good looking hammer. My one big issue though is this is made out of a soft plastic. It's very pliable, which on the one hand makes it so there's basically no way you're breaking this. But the downside is that because you have a relatively thicker, heavy chunk of plastic on the end, if you have him holding it down like this, the weight of the hammer is going to make it droop, so it's going to be drooped like this on your shelf for any length of time. You leave it there for a length of time. If you have him holding it up, it's going to droop back. So I would have liked this to be it doesn't have to be fully like stone cold hard, but I would have liked this to be a lot less pliable, because that is definitely an issue when it comes to posing. It doesn't look good when the hammer's warped. But you can't put it in his hands here. His grips are really tight. You might actually have to heat up the hands and open them up a little bit to get him to hold the hammer, but there you go. He holds it. Looks really good with it. I think that looks really cool. You can get two-handed poses. This grip is still pretty tight. I haven't really opened it up with heat yet, so I'm not going to do that right now. But yeah, looks really good. And that's all he comes with, which is all he really needs to come with. But with like all these Mortal Kombat figures, I think they should come with alternate hands. It would have been nice to get at least some closed fist hands for like martial, punching poses, because they're fighters, usually using martial arts of some degree. So it would be nice to get some alternate hands. Shao Kahn, his kit in the game, also makes use a lot of a spear, of a pretty big spear. It would have been cool to get that spear that he uses as well as another weapon. That would have been a nice option. And it would have been cool if the helmet was removable. He does take the helmet off a couple times, but it's not a big deal. I don't mind too much. I wouldn't display him with the helmet off, so that's not a big deal. But then lastly, we'll do some quick comparisons. Shao Kahn is a fairly big figure. You are getting your money's worth of plastic here. He's definitely taller than most of probably all of the Mortal Kombat figures. But here he is with his quote-unquote daughter. Here's the recent Katana, who is another pretty good figure. And as you can see, he is not like ginormous, but he's definitely thicker, and he's also definitely taller by a good probably half head. He's even taller if you count the top to this, but top of the head he's still a little bit taller. I think they scale decently well. And just with another Mortal Kombat figure, here is the one of the first ones, or literally like the first one alongside Scorpion. Here's Sub-Zero, again about the same size as height as Katana. He does stand a bit taller than the other Mortal Kombat figures, which I think works good. He's a tall guy. He's supposed to have a pretty big presence. He's like the big bad, so he should. And just in case you want to see it, here's a standard 6-inch figure as a Black Series Stormtrooper, who he is quite a bit taller than. But I will say, because Shao Kahn is generally shown as a bigger guy, taller character, one of the taller characters, if you had 6-inch figures, you could definitely probably skew him in there, and it would look not that bad. which is good. So overall, I think this is a really cool figure. Honestly, outside of Spawn, he's probably my favorite of the Mortal Kombat figures they've made so far. It does help that he's one of my favorite characters in the franchise, and he's one of my favorite fighters in the specific game that he's coming from. I absolutely love this design for Shao Kahn. It looks badass. But yeah, it's a really good figure. If you're a fan of Mortal Kombat 11, you're a fan of Shao Kahn, I would highly recommend picking this one up. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you all in the next one.